The 119th report of the Public Works Committee for the 54th Parliament, entitled Hamilton Secondary College Redevelopment Project, be noted. Hamilton Secondary College is located on Marion Road, Mitchell Park, within the City of Marion. The Department for Education has advised that Hamilton Secondary College offers the SACE Education Certificate Program for adults seeking to complete or return to secondary education. The school also hosts the Microach Space Education Centre, which delivers the only designated secondary school specialist curriculum for space education in our state. Hamilton Secondary College was allocated funding of $9 million as part of the Department for Education's Capital Works program, announced in October 2017. This funding allocation was confirmed on the change of government in March 2018. The Department for Education has advised that Hamilton Secondary College is further contributing some funds that it has of its own funds to maximise the opportunity of the build, and as a result the total project funding is $9.165 million. Hamilton Secondary College requires Capital Works to provide sufficient capacity to accommodate 900 students on the school site, catering for the transition of Year 7 students into high school in 2022. There is also aged infrastructure on the school site that requires refurbishment to support contemporary teaching and learning. Specifically, the Hamilton Secondary College Redevelopment Project proposes the following scope of works, Mr Speaker. Construction of a new performing arts centre providing flexible areas to enable general and specialist teaching and learning with teacher preparation, storage amenities and canteen. Redevelopment of the existing drama and music space to include flexible contemporary learning areas, breakout spaces and independent learning zones. Refurbishment of the resource centre to create multifunctional learning areas including a Year 12 centre. Creation of an outdoor central plaza linking the new building to the administration and general teaching areas, along with a new covered link to the resource centre. The works and scope of works will also include refurbishment of general teaching areas to upgrade air conditioning and acoustics, the demolition of aged accommodation, as I earlier foreshadowed, and new landscaping to the Marion Road frontage to improve the school street presence and amenity at the Marion Road frontage, as I earlier indicated to the House. The Hamilton Secondary College Redevelopment Project will be staged, with construction expected to commence in October 2020 and be completed during October 2021. And so we anticipate those works are now well underway. The committee examined written and oral evidence in relation to this project and received assurances that the appropriate consultation in relation to this project has been undertaken. The committee is satisfied that the proposal has been subject to the appropriate agency consultation and does meet the criteria for the examination of projects set out in the Parliamentary Committees Act 1991. Based on the evidence considered and pursuant to Section 12C of the Parliamentary Committees Act 1991, the Public Works Committee reports to Parliament that it recommends the proposed public works that I've outlined to you.
The Minister for Education.
Thank you, sir. It's really exciting to be able to talk in the Parliament and reflect on the Public Works Committee's report on the redevelopment of Hamilton Secondary College. This is an investment of a little over $9 million that the Marshall Liberal Government is making towards the Hamilton Secondary College. It's part of course, what is now $1.4 billion worth of public school infrastructure works across South Australia, as we seek to ensure that we have capacity to support all of our students, but also to support them in a way that will encourage them to prosper and thrive. We can deliver the teaching and learning that they deserve. This project is, I've got to say, outstanding bang for buck and value for money in terms of what is being delivered, and I commend Total Space Design, the architects, and Marshall and Brown, the builders, for the work they're doing, and of course Peter Corbellis and her team from Hamilton Secondary College. The infrastructure division within the Department for Education and indeed the Department for Infrastructure and Transport are to be commended for this sort of work, and Helen Doyle and her team in education also acknowledge their great work. Hamilton Secondary College's project, I've been to visit a couple of times and seen what it will be achieving. The performing arts spaces are going to be an outstanding uplift on what the school currently has. The planetarium that is going to be part of what the school has to offer is unique. And I think it goes to the heart of what is one of the things that makes Hamilton Secondary College really, really special, the space school concept. The way in which the Hamilton Secondary College is having their focus area of learning so well focused on an area that for South Australia's economy in the years ahead is going to be such an area of uplift, I think should give every student and family involved in Hamilton Secondary College a great deal of pride, and every family thinking about where their children are going to go to high school, especially if they live in the inner southwestern suburbs of Adelaide, a great deal of confidence in considering Hamilton Secondary College. They've run a space school program at Hamilton Secondary College for a number of years now. Since about 2017, I'm fairly sure it was the former Minister Susan Close was the Minister when that opened up, and this is a useful body of work, and I thank the former government for that aspect. That's a program that was able to support not just students at Hamilton, but indeed students from surrounding primary schools and other secondary schools in engaging with the Mission to Mars project, where students can play out a number of roles considering potential opportunities for how space missions can work, and a range of different STEM subjects that can gain benefit from that sort of hands-on learning. Taking that to the next level is, of course, the Charter now, because since the Marshall Liberal government's election and the Australian Space Agency being won by the Premier, I think, for our state, and the development of the Smart Satellite Collaborative Research Centre and Mission Control and the Space Discovery Centre at Lot 14 on North Terrace, not 500 metres from where we stand today, the extraordinary burgeoning interest of space industry-related companies in South Australia, Myriota and Innovor, Australian, South Australian companies, making satellites, creating the opportunities for data to be transferred between South Australia and space and South Australia for the benefit of government, for the benefit of farmers, for the benefit of people in bushfire-prone areas. The way that we now have multinationals, Boeing and a range of others, setting up their operations in Australia at Lot 14 here in Adelaide, and the extraordinary opportunities we're going to have in the years ahead with space conferences and all of the other related space industries, where Adelaide in South Australia is going to be not just, I think, the headquarters for the space industry in Australia, but really the Southern Hemisphere. Space launches pardon me, rocket launches being undertaken on the Eyre Peninsula. I cannot speak enough about the extraordinary opportunities there are for young South Australians who are interested in careers related to this exciting area of work in the space industries here in South Australia. Now, these are young South Australians who once upon a time, and not that long ago, I'm talking 5 years, 10 years, certainly when I was at school, the people with these sorts of skills and capabilities and dispositions and knowledge and interest would not have thought of South Australia as a place where they could pursue that career. I made some friends at university, astrophysics and other exciting high technology science-related degrees. And they were able to do that study in South Australia, but not one of them got a job in South Australia afterwards. Every single one was thinking about, am I going to move to Sydney or Hong Kong or the United States or maybe to Europe? Now, Adelaide is the logical place for the best possible career for those people, and they can do that at home with their families. So, for any young person thinking about a future career in space industries, in the space sector, in the most high-tech, in the most high geography of high-tech industries in the space sector, South Australia is the place to pursue that future. And at Hamilton Secondary College, we have a school that is giving some sort of grip and reality to those dreams from the moment students enter high school in Year 7 next year, indeed supporting primary school students to get an understanding of this in earlier years through those primary schools that continue to visit and support the Hamilton Secondary College Space School program. In school holidays, we have young scientists in upper secondary levels who engage with the Space Holidays School. I've seen these 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old students engage with astronauts at Hamilton Secondary College, not just Australian astronauts, of course Andy Thomas is doing a wonderful job, but a number of astronauts who have worked with South Australian companies like Nova Systems, and lend their time to that space school program and inspire that next generation to think about what sorts of careers they might have in the space industry. This construction project, with the development of the planetarium and the other enhancements to the space school program at Hamilton Secondary College, will really take that engagement to the next level. And it's coming at a time when the jobs in this industry are really set to, forgive the pun, skyrocket, sir. I can't wait to see this work finished. It's going to be October, and I hope the members for the Public Works Committee will think about having a meeting off-site, out of Parliament House. Perhaps they can come to the planetarium that we're building at the Hamilton Secondary College, the only planetarium in a school in Australia, the second planetarium in South Australia. The member for Playford is, of course, well aware that the northern suburbs are well served. This is the first planetarium in the southern suburbs, in the southern half of Adelaide. And so when the member for Playford wishes to cross the threshold of Green Hill Road and head south, he can go to the Hamilton Secondary College Planetarium, maybe join the Public Works Committee so that he can attend at the meeting that I'm sure they're now going to have at the planetarium at Hamilton Secondary College. Sir, in this contribution I've focused very much on the space program at Hamilton because it more than anything is what makes Hamilton unique, but Hamilton is indeed special for the entire curriculum of teaching and learning that offers and training operations. The refurbishment, of course, is also more than just the space program. The old music and drama building being refurbished into contemporary flexible learning areas. The new performing arts area will, I think, be spectacular, a 152-seat theatre. The refurbishment of the resource centre as part of the space program, the new plaza, the link to the performing arts building, the refurbishment of other spaces, air conditioning and acoustic upgrades to some buildings, upgrading of the school frontage on Marion Road for street presence, and the demolition and removal of some ageing architecture which is no longer fit for purpose. All of these things will enhance the teaching and learning at Hamilton, and the teaching and learning, of course, is part of a broad curriculum which suits students of dispositions, whether they be in space and science or whether they be in performing arts and film, whether they be focused on their English or their math studies. Hamilton Secondary College does a great job. I have a lot of excitement about its future. The local Member of Parliament, Carolyn Power, the Member for Elder, and indeed Corey Wingard, whose electorate is across the road, both very strongly engaged with this school, and I've joined them at the school on a number of occasions to celebrate their achievements. I can't wait to see many more in the years ahead.
Member for Carville speaks. He closes debate. The member for Carville.
Thank you, sir. As I've earlier emphasised in this place, we are especially grateful to the Minister for Education for seeing through a record capital works program in our state. It, of course, is in part to accommodate the transition of Year 7 to high school, but it is far, far more significant than that. And in seeing through this program, he's not only, of course, met the needs of existing or current students in our school system, but is also ensuring that many future generations will continue to have the best education facilities available to them. I acknowledge his contribution of other members, and provide the report to the House.
Order. The question before the House is that the 119th report of the Public Works Committee entitled Hamilton Secondary College Redevelopment Project be noted. Is that seconded? I'll put the question. Those of the opinion say aye. Against say no. It's carried. The